The royal dreadnought floated in the darkness of space like a golden crown. Inside its grand hall, hundreds of aliens from across the galaxy gathered for the ceremony. Tai Yang stood near the back wall, his hand resting on his weapon. He wore the simple black uniform of Earth's diplomatic security, nothing fancy like the shimmering robes around him. "Stay alert," Ambassador Wu Jin had told him before the ceremony. "The Valerians are testing us. They want to see if humans belong out here." Tai Yang watched the crowd. Most ignored him. To them, humans were newcomers, primitives who had barely learned to travel between stars. The Valerian Empire had ruled 12 star systems for 3,000 years. What were humans compared to that? At the center of the hall, Princess Hana stepped onto the raised platform. She was young, maybe 20 in human years, with long dark hair that seemed to catch the light. Unlike her people's usual cold expressions, she smiled warmly at the gathered crowd. The people loved her for that kindness. Her mother, Queen Yunji, sat on a throne behind her, watching everything with sharp eyes. "I welcome you all," Princess Hana began. Her voice was soft but clear. "Today we celebrate the expansion of our great empire and welcome new friends to our—" The explosion came from the left side of the hall. Tai Yang moved before he thought. Years of training kicked in. He saw them immediately. 3 figures in servant clothes, but their movements were wrong, too fast, too precise. They pulled out weapons from beneath their robes. The royal guards rushed forward, their energy shields glowing. But the assassins fired strange guns, and the bolts passed right through the shields. An old technology, ballistic weapons, bullets made of metal, not energy. The guards fell, screaming. Princess Hana stood frozen on the platform. The assassins aimed at her. Tai Yang ran. His boots hit the marble floor hard as he sprinted across the hall. Around him, aliens screamed and scattered. He pulled his own gun, a human weapon, simple and deadly. The Valerians had laughed when they saw it. "So primitive," they had said. He fired 3 times. 2 assassins dropped. The third one turned toward him, surprised. For a moment, their eyes met. The assassin's expression said everything. How did a human move that fast? Tai Yang fired again. The assassin fell. But there was a 4th one he hadn't seen. The pain hit his chest like a hammer, then his shoulder, then his leg. Tai Yang stumbled but kept moving forward, putting himself between the bullets and the princess. He fired his last rounds and the 4th assassin collapsed. Then Tai Yang fell. The marble floor was cold against his face, his vision blurred. Blood pooled around him, warm and dark. He could hear shouting, running feet, alarms blaring. But it all sounded far away. A face appeared above him. Princess Hana. She was crying. "No, no, no," she said. Her hands pressed against his chest, trying to stop the bleeding. "Someone help him! Guards, healers!" Tai Yang tried to speak, but blood filled his mouth. His body felt heavy, so heavy. This was it then. He had saved her, at least. Ambassador Wu Jin would make sure Earth knew. That was enough. "You cannot die," Princess Hana said. Her voice shook. "You saved my life. I invoke the Crimson Oath. Do you hear me? The Crimson Oath binds us." Tai Yang didn't understand her words. The darkness was pulling him down. The princess pulled something from her robe, a small silver device. She pressed it against his neck. Tai Yang felt a burning sensation, then thousands of tiny needles pushing into his skin. "These are forbidden," someone said, Queen Yunji's voice. "Daughter, you know the law." "I don't care," Princess Hana screamed. "He saved me. I won't let him die." The needles went deeper. Tai Yang felt them spreading through his body, into his blood, wrapping around his heart. They were alive somehow, these tiny machines. They were changing him. Then everything went black. When Tai Yang woke, he was lying in the softest bed he had ever felt. The room around him was huge, with walls made of white stone that seemed to glow. Windows showed the stars outside, more stars than he had ever seen from Earth. He tried to sit up. His body ached, but the pain was manageable. He looked down at his chest. The bullet wounds were gone. Only faint silver lines remained where the holes had been. "You're awake." Tae-Yang turned his head. A woman stood near the door. She wore elegant robes of deep blue, and her face was beautiful but cold. "Queen Eun-ji." "Where am I?" Tae-Yang asked. "The royal palace," the queen said. She walked closer, her steps silent. "You've been unconscious for 3 days. The bio-nanites needed time to repair your body." "Bio-nanites?" "The devices my daughter used to save your life. They're illegal, reserved only for the royal family." But Hana was always too emotional. The queen's expression didn't change, but Tae-Yang heard something sharp in her voice. He tried to get out of bed. His legs worked, but they felt strange, lighter somehow. "I wouldn't recommend leaving," the queen said. "You're being monitored. Guards are outside. This entire wing is locked down." "Am I a prisoner?" "You're a guest." The queen smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "My daughter invoked the Crimson Oath when she saved you. Do you know what that means?" Tae-Yang shook his head. "In our culture, when someone sheds blood for royalty, a sacred bond is formed. The person who bled becomes bound to serve until the debt is repaid. You saved Hana's life. She saved yours. Now you belong to the crown." "That's not possible," Tae-Yang said. "I'm a citizen of Earth. I have rights. Ambassador Wu Jin will—" "Your ambassador has been informed. He protested, of course. But the Crimson Oath is older than your entire species. It cannot be broken by politics or laws." The queen moved to the window, looking out at the stars. "You're valuable, Tae-Yang. You saw a threat my best guards missed. You moved faster than species with enhanced biology. You killed 4 trained assassins in seconds. I want to know how." "I'm just a soldier." "No." The queen turned back to him. "Humans are something new, something unpredictable. Your people have been in space for less than 50 years, yet you think differently than races who have traveled the stars for millennia. That interests me greatly." Tae-Yang felt ice in his stomach. "You're going to study me? Like a lab animal." "I'm going to see what makes humans special," the queen corrected. "And you're going to help me, willingly or otherwise." She walked to the door, then paused. "My daughter will visit you soon. She feels guilty about your situation. I suggest you be kind to her. Hana is soft-hearted, but she's still a princess. Your life is much easier if she likes you." The door closed behind her. Tae-Yang heard locks clicking into place. He walked to the window and pressed his hand against the glass. Somewhere out there, beyond all those stars, was Earth. Home. His family didn't even know what had happened to him yet. The door opened again. This time, it was Princess Hana. She looked tired, with dark circles under her eyes. "I'm so sorry," she said immediately. "I never meant for this to happen. I just wanted to save you." Tae-Yang looked at her. She seemed genuinely upset, but she was also the daughter of the woman who had just told him he was a prisoner. "Can you let me go?" he asked quietly. Princess Hana's face fell. "I can't. The Crimson Oath is just a tradition. You could break it. You don't understand. My mother would never allow it, and even if I wanted to defy her, I have no power. I'm the youngest child. Nobody listens to me." She stepped closer. "But I promise I'll make this as comfortable as possible. You'll be assigned to my personal guard. You'll have freedoms, and I'll keep asking my mother to release you." "How long will that take?" Princess Hana looked away. "I don't know." Tae-Yang turned back to the window. Behind him, he heard the princess leave, her footsteps soft and sad. He was trapped. Light years from home, bound by alien laws, kept as a prize for a queen who wanted to unlock human secrets. The mission had been simple: protect the ambassador, make a good impression, go home. Now he didn't know if he would ever see Earth again. 3 months had passed since Tai Yang woke up in the palace. Every day felt the same. Wake up in his luxurious room, eat breakfast prepared by silent servants, train with the royal guards who hated him. Pretend everything was fine. Ambassador Wu Jin had visited twice. Both times they met in a monitored room with guards watching. Wu Jin spoke carefully, knowing everything was recorded. "Earth hasn't forgotten you," the ambassador said during the last visit. "We're working on getting you home." Tai Yang wanted to believe him, but he saw the truth in Wu Jin's tired eyes. The Valerians were stalling. They made promises, then found excuses. They talked about diplomatic processes and cultural respect. Meanwhile, Tai Yang remained trapped. "How's my family?" Tai Yang asked. "They're told you're on an extended diplomatic mission, safe and well." Wu Jin leaned forward slightly. "Are you well?" "I'm alive." That was all Tai Yang could say with the guards listening. He couldn't tell Wu Jin about the tests. The doctors who scanned him weekly, the questions about human biology, human tactics, human psychology. The Queen wanted to understand what made humans different, and she was patient. After Wu Jin left, Commander Dae-hyun appeared. He was the captain of the Royal Guard, tall and muscular with the silver markings of a decorated warrior on his face. From the first day, he had made his feelings clear. "Training room, now," Dae-hyun said. Tai Yang followed him through the palace hallways. Other guards watched as they passed. Some whispered. Everyone knew the human who had embarrassed the Royal Guard by stopping the assassins they had failed to stop. The training room was massive, with walls that could create any environment. Today it showed a rocky terrain with scattered boulders and thin cover. "New exercise," Dae-hyun said. "You against 4 of my best guards. Survival scenario. Non-lethal weapons only." Tai Yang took the training weapon offered to him. It was designed to deliver painful shocks instead of killing. He checked the charge and nodded. "Begin!" Dae-hyun shouted. 4 guards appeared from behind the rocks, moving in perfect formation. They were trained, disciplined, and they wanted to prove something. Tai Yang was the outsider who had made them look bad. This was their chance. But Valerian combat training followed strict rules. Honor, formation, direct engagement. They moved like dancers, beautiful and precise. Tai Yang fought like a human. He threw dirt in the first guard's face, then swept his legs. The second guard hesitated, shocked by the dishonorable tactic. Tai Yang didn't hesitate. He rolled behind a boulder, making them chase him, splitting their formation. The third guard came around the rock confidently. Tai Yang had wedged his training weapon between 2 stones and triggered it remotely. The shock blast caught the guard from an unexpected angle. Now it was 2 against 1. They were more careful, watching for tricks. But Tai Yang had been fighting since he was young, not in training rooms with safety protocols. In real combat, where survival mattered more than honor. He feinted left, then went right. He used the terrain. He made noise in one direction while moving in another. He turned their own tactics against them by predicting their honorable responses. When the exercise ended, all 4 guards were down. Tai Yang stood among them, breathing hard but victorious. Slow clapping echoed through the room. Queen Eunji stood on the observation deck above, watching. Beside her was an elegant woman in dark robes that Tai Yang hadn't seen before. "Excellent," the queen said. "You see, Lady Sora? The human fights without honor, without formation, without rules, but he wins." Lady Sora studied Tai Yang with calculating eyes. "Primitive tactics, but effective." "Exactly." The queen smiled. "This is what I wanted you to see. Humans don't think like us. That makes them dangerous, or useful." Dae-hyun helped his guards up, his face dark with anger and shame. He glared at Tai Yang. "Dismissed," the queen said. "Except you, Tai Yang. Come with me." Taeyang followed the Queen and Lady Sora through more hallways to a room filled with star maps and tactical displays. This was a war room. "We have a problem," Queen Yunji said, pulling up a holographic map. Red markers showed dozens of planets in the outer systems. "Rebellion. The colonies want independence. Our military has been fighting them for 2 years with limited success." "Why tell me this?" Taeyang asked. "Because they use tactics similar to yours. Guerrilla warfare, hit and run. No honor, no formation. My generals don't understand how to fight it." The Queen looked at him directly. "You do. I'm not helping you crush a rebellion." Lady Sora stepped forward. "You'll help, or Ambassador Wu Jin's ship will have an unfortunate accident leaving Valyrian space. Accidents happen." Taeyang's hands clenched. It wasn't a bluff. He could see it in her eyes. "If I help," he said slowly, "what do I get?" "Concessions," the Queen said. "Better living conditions. Access to communication with Earth. Perhaps if you're very useful, we discuss your eventual release." "Perhaps. I make no promises, but refusal guarantees nothing will ever change." The Queen waved her hand, and the star maps vanished. "Think about it. You have until tomorrow." That night, Taeyang couldn't sleep. He stood by his window, looking at the stars, when he heard a soft knock on his door. Princess Hana entered quietly. She wore simple clothes instead of her usual royal robes. "I heard about my mother's offer," she said. "Did you come to convince me to accept?" "No." Hana sat on the edge of his bed, looking tired. "I came to apologize, again, and to tell you the truth about something." Taeyang waited. "The rebellion isn't what my mother says it is," Hana continued. "Yes, they want independence, but they're not terrorists. They're people tired of being crushed under the Empire's rule. My mother takes everything from the colonies and gives nothing back. They're starving while we live in palaces." "Then why doesn't someone stop her?" "Because she's the Queen. She has the military, the nobles, the power. Anyone who opposes her openly gets destroyed." Hana looked up at him. "But I've been helping them, secretly, sending supplies, information, money." Taeyang stared at her. "You're funding the rebellion against your own mother?" "My mother's empire is dying. If it doesn't change, it will collapse and billions will suffer. I'm trying to create pressure for reform without causing total war." She stood up. "If you help her, you'll be helping her extend a brutal system. But if you refuse, she might hurt Earth to punish you." "So what should I do?" Hana moved to the door, then paused. "I can't tell you that, but I wanted you to know the truth. Whatever you choose, I'll understand." She left, and Taeyang was alone again with his thoughts. The next morning, he gave Queen Yunji his answer. He would help, but not the way she expected. Over the following weeks, Taeyang studied the rebellion's patterns. He gave the Queen advice that sounded useful but had built-in flaws. He suggested tactics that would work if the Valyrian military wasn't so rigid in its command structure. He knew they wouldn't adapt fast enough. The rebels kept winning. General Hyun Woo, the Queen's top commander, grew frustrated. "Your intelligence arrives too late. Our forces can't respond in time." "That's because your communication protocols require 3 levels of approval," Taeyang said truthfully. "By the time orders reach the field, the situation has changed." It was true, but he also made sure his reports were slightly delayed. Not enough to be obvious, just enough to matter. Princess Hana watched him work and said nothing, but sometimes, when their eyes met, there was understanding between them. Lady Sora, however, was not fooled so easily. She began having Taeyang followed. She questioned the servants around him. She analyzed his reports for patterns. One night, a young servant named Ji Woo slipped a message under Taeyang's door. It was written in basic trade language that even humans could read. "The rebellion knows what you're doing. They want to meet you. Tomorrow night, Lower Gardens, midnight. Tai Yang held the message, thinking. It could be genuine, or it could be a trap set by Lady Sora to prove his treachery. He looked out at the stars again. Earth was out there somewhere, impossibly far away. His family thought he was safe on a diplomatic mission. They had no idea their son was playing spy games with an alien empire. But he had made his choice when he threw himself in front of those bullets. Tomorrow night, he would go to the gardens and see what happened. Either way, he was done being a passive prisoner. Tai Yang walked through the lower gardens at midnight. The palace gardens were beautiful even in darkness, with glowing plants that pulsed with soft blue light. He kept his hands visible and moved slowly. If this was a trap, he didn't want to give them an excuse. A figure stepped out from behind a fountain. It was Ji-woo, the young servant who had brought him the message. "You came," Ji-woo said quietly. "Who are you really?" Tai Yang asked. "Someone who serves the rebellion." Ji-woo gestured toward a small building hidden by trees. "They're waiting inside." Tai Yang followed, every sense alert. The building was a garden storage shed, simple and plain. Inside, the glowing plants provided just enough light to see three figures in dark clothes. But as his eyes adjusted, Tai Yang realized something was wrong. These people stood too straight, too military, and in the shadows near the door, he caught the reflection of armor. This was a trap. "Ji-woo," he said sadly. "They got to you." The servant's face crumpled. "I'm sorry. Lady Sora has my family. She said she'd kill them if I didn't help." The three figures stepped forward, and Tai Yang recognized the uniform. Lady Sora's personal agents. Behind them, more guards emerged from the shadows. He was surrounded. "Clever human!" Lady Sora's voice came from the doorway. She entered with a satisfied smile. "Caught in the act of meeting with rebels. Treason against the crown. The queen will be very disappointed." "These aren't rebels," Tai Yang said. "They're your people." "Does it matter? You came here to meet with traitors. That's enough." Lady Sora gestured to her guards. "Take him." "Wait," Tai Yang said. "Before you arrest me, you should know something. I found evidence about you." Lady Sora's smile didn't waver. "Evidence? About the money you've been stealing from the royal treasury? 70 million credits over the past 5 years? Hidden in accounts on the outer colonies?" Tai Yang had been bluffing, throwing out a guess based on her expensive clothes and jewelry. But he saw her face change, just slightly. He had guessed right. "You're lying," Lady Sora said. "I sent the proof to General Hyunwoo this morning. Timed message. If I don't cancel it in the next 10 minutes, he gets everything." Another bluff. Tai Yang had sent nothing. But panic makes people stupid. Lady Sora's hand moved to her communication device. She was checking, trying to verify if the message was real. In that moment of distraction, Tai Yang moved. He grabbed Ji-woo and pulled the servant behind him, then kicked over the glowing plants. The room went dark. Guards shouted and rushed forward, but they were trained to fight with honor and formation. They got in each other's way. Tai Yang fought dirty, elbows, knees, biting when necessary. He grabbed a guard's weapon and used the shock setting to clear a path. Ji-woo followed close behind him. They burst out of the shed and ran through the gardens. Alarms began to sound. More guards appeared ahead of them. Tai Yang changed direction, heading for the palace walls. "There's no escape!" Ji-woo gasped as they ran. "The walls are too high!" "Not trying to escape," Tai Yang said. "Trying to reach witnesses." He led them toward the main palace entrance where nobles and servants would be walking. If Lady Sora killed him in front of witnesses, there would be questions. He needed to survive until he could reach the queen. They rounded a corner and nearly crashed into someone. Princess Hana. She was wearing her royal robes, clearly coming back from some official function. Her guards were with her, but they looked confused by the alarms. "Tai Yang," Hana said. What's happening? Lady Sora tried to frame me, Taeyang said quickly. She compromised Jiwoo and set a trap. I'm not a traitor. Lady Sora and her guards arrived moments later. She stopped when she saw the princess, her face carefully neutral. Princess Hana, Lady Sora said smoothly. This human was caught meeting with rebel agents. He's under arrest. I saw no rebels, Taeyang said. Only your people dressed in dark clothes. You're saying I fabricated evidence? Lady Sora's voice was dangerous. I'm saying you made a mistake. The two stared at each other. Princess Hana looked between them, reading the tension. We should bring this to my mother, Hana said. Let the queen decide. Of course, princess, Lady Sora agreed, though her eyes promised Taeyang this wasn't over. Queen Unji sat on her throne, listening to both sides. Lady Sora presented her case. Taeyang had been meeting with rebels. Jiwoo could testify to messages. There was clear evidence of treason. Taeyang presented his counter. Lady Sora had set a trap. The rebels were her own people. Jiwoo had been forced to cooperate through threats to family. The queen listened to everything, her face unreadable. Jiwoo, she finally said, speak truthfully. Did Lady Sora threaten your family? The young servant trembled. Yes, Your Majesty. She said she would have them killed if I didn't help trap the human. Lady Sora's face went pale. The servant is lying to save themselves. Am I? Jiwoo said, voice shaking but growing stronger. You can check the messages you sent me. I saved them all. Queen Unji gestured, and guards took Jiwoo's communication device. A technician examined it, then whispered to the queen. The silence stretched. Lady Sora stood straight, confident. She had served the queen for years. Surely that loyalty meant something. Lady Sora, Queen Unji said quietly, you have disappointed me. Your Majesty, I only sought to... You sought to play games in my court. You threatened citizens to serve your schemes. Worse, you were incompetent in your schemes. The queen stood from her throne. I knew about your embezzlement. I allowed it because you were useful, but you have now proven you are more trouble than value. Lady Sora's eyes went wide. Please, I can explain. Guards, the queen said. Execute her. It happened fast. The guards moved, and Lady Sora barely had time to scream before it was over. Taeyang looked away, his stomach churning. He had wanted to expose her, not get her killed. The queen sat back down. Taeyang, approach. He walked forward on shaking legs. You're clever, Queen Unji said. You turned Lady Sora's trap against her. You forced me to deal with a problem I had been ignoring. For that, I thank you. She leaned forward. But don't think this earns you freedom. You're still bound by the Crimson Oath. And now I have a proposition for you. Taeyang waited. Join the Empire fully. Undergo genetic modification to become partially Valerian. Serve as my enforcer, and I will give you wealth, power, and a place of honor. The queen's smile was cold. Or refuse, and watch as I place a military blockade around Earth's solar system. Your species will never leave their home star. Humanity will die in its cradle. The room went silent. Taeyang felt the weight of the choice crushing down on him. You can't do that, he said. Earth has done nothing wrong. I can do whatever I wish. I am the queen. Unji stood and walked closer. But I'm not unreasonable. I don't want war with Earth. I want humanity to join the Empire willingly, and having one of your own people as my champion would help convince them, don't you think? Taeyang looked at Princess Hana. She stood off to the side, her face anguished. Mother, please, Hana said. Don't do this. Let him go. Make peace with Earth properly. Silence, the queen said without looking at her. This doesn't concern you. It does concern me. I invoked the Crimson Oath. His service is to me, not to you. And you are mine. Therefore he is mine. Queen Aunji turned to her daughter. Do not test me, Hana. You may be my daughter, but I am still your queen. Princess Hana opened her mouth to argue, then closed it. Tears ran down her face. Guards, the queen said, take Princess Hana to her chambers. She is confined there until she learns proper respect. As the guards led Hana away, she looked back at Tae Yang. He saw the apology in her eyes, but also something else. Determination. You have until tomorrow evening to decide, Queen Eunji told Tae Yang. Accept my offer and become part of something great, or refuse and doom your entire species to isolation. She walked past him toward the door. Choose wisely. Back in his room, Tae Yang found a message waiting on his private terminal. It was from Ambassador Wu Jin, sent through carefully hidden channels. Earth knows what's happening. We're sending a fleet, not to negotiate, to bring you home. Hold on. Tae Yang read it 3 times. A fleet. Earth was coming for him, but the Valerians had technology centuries ahead of humanity. Any battle would be a massacre. Earth's ships would be destroyed, and that would give the Queen the excuse she needed to blockade the solar system permanently. He couldn't let that happen. Another message appeared, this one from an unknown source. There is another way. Challenge Commander Dae Hyun to single combat for the right to set your own terms. Under Valerian law, the Queen cannot refuse such a challenge. Win, and you can demand your freedom. A friend. Tae Yang stared at the message. Dae Hyun was enhanced with Valerian biotechnology, trained from birth, and he hated Tae Yang. It would be a fight to the death. But it was better than watching Earth's fleet get slaughtered. He sent his reply to the Queen. He would accept her proposition, but only if he could prove himself worthy through trial by combat. Champion versus champion. Him versus Dae Hyun. The response came within minutes. Challenge accepted. The duel will be held in the Grand Arena in 3 days. All of the Empire will watch. Tae Yang looked out at the stars one more time. 3 days to prepare. 3 days to figure out how to beat an opponent who was faster, stronger, and better trained. 3 days to save himself and maybe save Earth, too. He got to work. The Grand Arena could hold 100,000 spectators. Every seat was filled. Billions more watched across the Empire through holographic broadcasts. They had come to see the human who dared challenge a Valerian champion. Tae Yang stood in the preparation room beneath the arena. He wore simple combat gear, nothing fancy. His weapons were laid out on a table, a kinetic pistol, a combat knife, and his own hands. Against him was Commander Dae Hyun with all the technology the Empire could provide. The door opened. Princess Hana entered, escorted by guards. Her mother had finally allowed her to leave her chambers for this event. I'm not supposed to be here, she said, glancing at the guards who stayed by the door. But I had to see you before the fight. Your mother wants to watch me lose, Tae Yang said. No, she wants to see what you're capable of. Hana moved closer. Tae Yang, you don't have to do this. There are other ways. Like what? Let Earth's fleet come and get destroyed? Let your mother blockade my entire species? He shook his head. This is the only way that doesn't end in war. Dae Hyun is going to kill you. Maybe. But I've survived worse odds. He managed a small smile. I'm human. We're good at not dying when we're supposed to. Hana pulled something from her robe. It was a small device, similar to the one she had used to save him all those months ago. These are bioenhancers, she said. They'll increase your speed and strength temporarily. Not as much as Dae Hyun's permanent modifications, but enough to give you a chance. Is this legal? No, but I don't care anymore. She pressed the device into his hand. I'm tired of watching my mother hurt people. I'm tired of being powerless. So I'm choosing to help you, whatever the consequences. Tai Yang looked at the device, then at her. Thank you. Win this, Hana said. Not just for yourself. Win for everyone trapped by the Empire's rules. Show them that power isn't everything. She left before the guards could question why she had stayed so long. Tai Yang looked at the bioenhancer. He could use it, but that felt like cheating. He had challenged Dae-hyun to prove something, that humans could win with skill and determination, not just technology. He put the device in his pocket. He would keep it as a backup, but he wouldn't use it unless he had no other choice. The door opened again. This time it was General Hyun-woo. The Queen sent me, the general said. She wants you to know the terms have changed. Changed how? This is no longer just about your freedom. It's about humanity's place in the galaxy. General Hyun-woo pulled up a holographic display. It showed Earth's fleet, 12 ships heading toward Valerian space. Your people are coming. The Queen will destroy them unless you can give her a reason not to. What reason would satisfy her? Proof that humans deserve respect as equals, not subjects. If you defeat Dae-hyun, you can invoke an ancient law called trial by representation. It means your victory proves humanity's worth. The Queen would have to negotiate a real treaty, not a surrender. Tai Yang stared at the hologram of Earth's ships. 12 vessels carrying soldiers and crew who were coming to save one man. His heart ached. And if I lose? Dae-hyun kills you, the fleet is destroyed, and Earth becomes isolated forever. General Hyun-woo's expression was hard. No pressure. The general left. Tae Yang was alone with his thoughts and his fear. The arena floor was sand mixed with crushed crystal that glittered under the lights. Tae Yang walked out to the sound of alien voices, some cheering, most silent. They wanted to see what the human could do. Across from him, Commander Dae-hyun entered to roaring applause. He wore armor that shifted colors, designed to absorb energy weapons. His enhancements were visible, silver lines running along his arms and neck where technology had been woven into his muscles. He carried an energy blade that hummed with power. Queen Yoonji sat in the royal box, Princess Hana beside her looking terrified. The rules are simple, the announcer's voice boomed. Combat until one cannot continue. Magic technology and external weapons are permitted. May the strongest warrior prevail. The starting horn sounded. Dae-hyun moved first, incredibly fast. He crossed the arena in seconds, his blade slicing toward Tae Yang's head. Tae Yang barely rolled aside. The energy blade cut through the ground where he had stood. I've wanted this for months, Dae-hyun said. To show everyone that you're nothing special, just a lucky primitive. He attacked again, a flurry of strikes. Tae Yang blocked with his knife, but the energy blade was stronger. His weapon started to melt from the heat. Tae Yang threw the damaged knife at Dae-hyun's face and ran. The crowd booed. Running wasn't honorable, but Tae Yang didn't care about honor. He cared about surviving. He pulled his pistol and fired. Dae-hyun's armor absorbed the bullets easily. The commander laughed. Is that all humans have? Primitive weapons and cowardice? Tae Yang kept running, circling the arena. He was mapping the terrain, looking for advantages. There were pillars scattered across the sand for cover. Equipment stations along the walls, and the crowd itself pressing close to the barriers. Dae-hyun chased him, faster and stronger, confident in his victory. He thought this would be easy. That's what Tai Yang was counting on. He led Dae-hyun toward one of the pillars, then suddenly stopped and turned. The commander swung his blade, expecting Tai Yang to dodge. But instead, Tai Yang dove forward, going under the swing. He grabbed sand and threw it in Dae-hyun's eyes. The commander stumbled back, blinded. Tae Yang kicked his knee hard, hitting the joint where armor plates connected. Dae-hyun grunted in pain but didn't fall. You fight without honor! Dae-hyun wiped his eyes clear. I fight to win, Tae-Yang said. He reached the equipment station and grabbed what looked like a net launcher. He fired it at Dae-Hyun. The commander cut through the net easily with his blade, but it bought Tae-Yang seconds to move again. The fight continued. Tae-Yang used every dirty trick he knew. He kicked sand, used the pillars for cover through equipment, and made noise in one direction while attacking from another. Dae-Hyun was better trained and stronger, but he was frustrated. This wasn't how battles were supposed to go. Then Dae-Hyun changed tactics. He stopped chasing and started herding Tae-Yang toward the arena wall. The commander was learning, adapting. That was dangerous. Tae-Yang felt his back hit the barrier. The crowd above him screamed and cheered. Dae-Hyun approached slowly, blade ready. "No more running," the commander said. "End this with dignity." Tae-Yang's hand went to his pocket. The bioenhancer Hana had given him. He could use it now. Level the playing field. But he thought about what this fight represented. If he used alien technology to win, what did that prove? That humans could only succeed by becoming like Valerians? He left the enhancer in his pocket. Instead, he looked up at the crowd and started talking. "You came here to see a fight," he shouted. His voice carried across the arena. "You wanted to see if a human could match a Valerian warrior. But this isn't a fair test, is it?" The crowd quieted, confused. "Commander Dae-Hyun has bio-enhancements, advanced armor, energy weapons. I have bullets and a knife." Tae-Yang spread his arms. "But you know what? That's fine. Because this fight isn't about who has better technology. It's about who wants it more." Dae-Hyun rushed forward, annoyed by the speech. But Tae-Yang was ready this time. He had been studying the commander's patterns. Every warrior, no matter how well trained, had habits. Dae-Hyun always struck high first, then swept low, always 3-hit combinations, always stepping with his right foot first. Tae-Yang used that knowledge. He predicted the high strike and ducked, predicted the low sweep and jumped. When Dae-Hyun stepped with his right foot, Tae-Yang was already moving left. He got inside the commander's guard and hit him hard in the solar plexus. Bio-enhancements couldn't protect soft tissue completely. Dae-Hyun gasped, and for the first time he looked worried. "Humans didn't evolve to be the fastest," Tae-Yang said, breathing hard. "We didn't evolve to be the strongest. We evolved to be stubborn. We evolved to never give up. We evolved to win ugly if that's what it takes." He pressed his attack, using speed and unpredictability instead of power. Dae-Hyun tried to recover, but Tae-Yang didn't give him space. Every time the commander set his feet for a proper strike, Tae-Yang disrupted his balance. Every time Dae-Hyun tried to use his enhancements, Tae-Yang targeted his joints and weak points. The fight became brutal and messy. Both warriors were bleeding, exhausted, pushed to their limits. Then Tae-Yang saw his opening. Dae-Hyun's armor had cracked near the shoulder from repeated impacts. It was a small weakness, but enough. Tae-Yang grabbed a sharp piece of broken equipment from the ground and threw himself at the commander. They crashed to the ground together. Tae-Yang drove the makeshift weapon into the crack in the armor. Dae-Hyun screamed. His energy blade fell from his hand. Tae-Yang grabbed it and held it to the commander's throat. The arena went completely silent. "Yield," Tae-Yang said quietly. Dae-Hyun looked up at him with hate and respect mixed in his eyes. Then slowly, he nodded. "I yield." The crowd erupted. Some cheered, some booed, everyone was talking at once. Tae-Yang stood up, swaying from exhaustion and pain. He looked up at the royal box where Queen Yunji sat, her face unreadable. "I invoke trial by representation," Tae-Yang shouted. "This victory proves humanity's worth. We demand to be treated as equals, not subjects." The queen stood slowly. The entire arena held its breath, waiting for her response. Queen Yunji stood in the royal box, looking down at Tae-Yang. The entire arena waited for her response. 100,000 spectators held their breath. Billions watching across the empire leaned closer to their screens. Trial by representation, the queen said slowly. An ancient law, one I am bound to honor. She paused, and Tae-Yang saw the calculation in her eyes. She was weighing options, considering angles, thinking about politics and power. However, the queen continued, the law requires that I accept the result. It does not require that I be happy about it. She looked at Dae-Hyun, still on the ground. Commander, you have disappointed me. Guards, remove him from the arena. Guards rushed out to help Dae-Hyun. The commander didn't look at Tae-Yang as he was carried away. His shame was complete. Tae-Yang of Earth, Queen Yunji said, you have proven yourself a capable warrior. But before I release you from the Crimson Oath, I want to understand something. You could have used the bioenhancer my daughter gave you. Why didn't you? The crowd gasped. They hadn't known about that. Tae-Yang looked up at Princess Hana. Her face had gone pale. She would be punished for this later. Because this fight wasn't about me, Tae-Yang said. It was about showing you what humans are. If I had used Valerian technology to win, I would have been proving your point, that we need you to be strong, but we don't. Humans are strong because of who we are, not because of what we borrow. Interesting perspective, the queen said. Tell me, do you think your people would have the same pride if I simply destroyed their incoming fleet? Would they still be defiant when their soldiers are dead? The arena went quiet again. This was it, the real test. You could destroy our fleet, Tae-Yang agreed. Your weapons are better. Your ships are faster. You would win that battle easily. He stepped forward, his voice carrying to every corner of the arena. But you wouldn't win the war, because humans don't quit. Ever. You'd have to kill every single one of us to make us stop. 8 billion people who would rather die fighting than live as your subjects. Is that the war you want? Queen Yunji's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. Respect, maybe. Or calculation. You speak boldly for someone who was just moments from death. I'm human. Bold is what we do. The queen was silent for a long moment. Then she looked at Princess Hana. My daughter, you gave this human illegal technology. You helped him against my wishes. You have been supporting the rebellion. Did you think I didn't know? Hana stood up, her hands shaking but her voice steady. I did what I thought was right, Mother. Your empire is built on oppression. The colonies are starving while we feast. The people cry out for help while you ignore them. Someone had to stand for justice. And you think you can change things? You, my youngest daughter, with no power or support? I had to try. Hana's voice broke. Because if I don't try, what does that make me? Just another royal who chose comfort over conscience? The queen stared at her daughter. The entire empire watched this family drama unfold. Then Queen Yunji did something unexpected. She laughed. It wasn't a cruel laugh. It was genuine, almost proud. You remind me of myself when I was young, the queen said. Idealistic, passionate, foolish. She walked to the edge of the royal box. But I learned that idealism without power is meaningless. You cannot change the empire through secret rebellion and kind gestures. If you truly want reform, you must be willing to fight for it properly. What are you saying? Hana asked. I'm saying that I am old, and the empire needs fresh thinking. Perhaps it's time to consider what comes after my reign. Queen Yunji turned back to the crowd. But that is a discussion for another day. Today we address the matter at hand. She gestured to Tae-Yang. The law of trial by representation is clear. Your victory proves humanity deserves respect as equals. Therefore, I release you from the Crimson Oath. You are free to return to Earth. The Queen's voice echoed across the arena. Furthermore, I propose a formal treaty between the Valerian Empire and humanity. Not as masters and subjects, but as partners. The crowd erupted in mixed reactions. Some cheered, some protested. Everyone had an opinion. Tai Yang felt relief wash over him. He had done it. He was going home. However, the Queen added, I have conditions. Of course she did. The treaty will take time to negotiate. During this time, Earth's fleet will remain in neutral space. No hostile actions from either side. And you, Tai Yang, will serve as the first human ambassador to the Empire. You understand us better than any of your people. You will help bridge our cultures. It wasn't perfect, but it was better than war. I accept, Tai Yang said. Then it is done. Queen Yunji raised her hand. Let it be known across the Empire that humanity has earned its place among the stars. May this be the beginning of a new age. The next week was a blur of medical treatment, diplomatic meetings, and preparations. Tai Yang spent hours talking with Ambassador Wu Jin about the proposed treaty. They worked out details, argued over terms, and slowly built something that both sides could accept. Earth's fleet remained in neutral space, but they sent a shuttle to the palace. Tai Yang would return on it. The night before he left, Princess Hana came to say goodbye. My mother has agreed to consider the reforms I suggested, she said. It's not everything I wanted, but it's a start. You helped make that possible. You did that yourself, Tai Yang said. You stood up to her in front of the whole empire. That took courage. I was terrified. Courage isn't not being scared. It's being scared and doing it anyway. He smiled. That's another human thing. Hana handed him a small device. This is a secure communicator. When the time comes, when I'm ready to challenge my mother's policies openly, I hope humanity will remember who its friends are. We don't forget our friends, Tai Yang promised. Or our debts. They stood in silence for a moment. Will you come back? Hana asked. Probably. Someone needs to make sure you Valerians don't try anything sneaky in the treaty negotiations. We would never. Hana tried to look innocent and failed. They both laughed. When she left, Tai Yang was alone with his thoughts one last time. He walked to the window and looked at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth. Home, family, everything he thought he'd lost. The door opened again. General Hunwu entered. I wanted to speak with you before you left, the general said. Off the record. About what? About what you did. Not just winning the fight, but how you fought it. Hunwu sat down heavily. I've been a soldier for 40 years. I've fought 100 battles using honor, formation, and proper tactics. And I've been losing to rebels for 2 years because they don't fight that way. They fight like humans. Yes. And watching you, I finally understood why our military keeps failing. We're too rigid, too predictable. We follow rules even when the rules don't work. The general looked tired. The Queen has asked me to study human military tactics, to reform our training. I wanted to know if you would be willing to help. Tai Yang thought about it. Teaching Valerians to fight like humans could make them more dangerous. But it could also help them defend against real threats, like the rebels who were actually fighting for freedom. I'll help, he said. But only if the reforms Princess Hana wants are actually implemented. I won't help you become better at oppressing people. Fair enough. Hyunwoo stood and offered his hand, a gesture he had learned from human customs. You're an honorable enemy, Tai Yang. I hope someday we can be honorable allies. They shook hands. The next morning, Tai Yang boarded the human shuttle. Ambassador Wu Jin was already inside, grinning widely. You have no idea how happy Earth will be to see you, Wu Jin said. You're a hero back home, the man who stood up to an empire and won. I just did what I had to do. That's what makes it heroic. As the shuttle lifted off, Tai Yang looked down at the palace one last time. He saw a figure standing on one of the high balconies, Princess Hana, waving goodbye. He waved back. The shuttle accelerated, leaving the Valerian homeworld behind. Ahead of them, Earth's fleet waited, 12 ships with crews who had been ready to die to rescue him. When they docked with the flagship, the crew lined up to greet him. They saluted, and Tai Yang saluted back. These were his people, humans who didn't give up, who came for their own, no matter the cost. The captain of the fleet, a stern woman named Captain Min Seo, stepped forward. "Welcome home, soldier," she said. "We're heading back to Earth. Estimated arrival. 6 weeks." 6 weeks sounds perfect, Tai Yang said. He was going home. Finally, actually going home. But as the fleet turned and began the long journey back to Earth, Tai Yang thought about everything that had happened. About Queen Eunji and her plans, about Princess Hana and her rebellion, about the Valerian Empire and its future. Captain Min Seo noticed his expression. "Something on your mind?" "Just thinking," Tai Yang said. "The Queen let me go, but she learned everything she wanted to know about humans in the process. Our tactics, our psychology, our weaknesses and strengths. You think she's planning something?" "I think she's always planning something." Tai Yang looked at the stars ahead. "She said this treaty is the beginning of a new age, but I don't know if she meant a partnership or just a longer game." "Well, we'll be ready either way," Captain Min Seo said. "Earth isn't the weak planet we were a few years ago. We're learning, adapting, growing. If the Valerians want a real partnership, great. If they want to fight." She didn't finish, but Tai Yang understood. Humans would do what they always did: survive, adapt, win against the odds. 6 weeks later, the fleet arrived at Earth. Tai Yang stepped off the shuttle into a crowd of reporters, officials, and family members. His mother was crying. His father stood proud with tears in his eyes. His sister hugged him so hard he could barely breathe. He was home. That night, lying in his own bed for the first time in months, Tai Yang received a message on the secure communicator Hana had given him. "The game continues. My mother watches your world closely, but I'm building support for change. When the time comes, will humanity stand with me? H." Tai Yang looked at the message for a long time. Then he typed his response. "We'll be there. Humans don't abandon their friends. T." He sent it and closed his eyes. Tomorrow he would report to Earth's government. He would help train the new special operations units. He would prepare humanity for whatever came next. But tonight, he just slept and dreamed of stars. Far away on the Valerian homeworld, Queen Eunji watched surveillance footage of Tai Yang's return to Earth. She saw the crowds, the celebrations, the love his people had for him. "Interesting species," she said to her advisors. "They value individuals highly. That's both their strength and their weakness." "Should we proceed with the integration plan?" an advisor asked. "No, not yet." The Queen turned off the display. "The treaty will hold for now. Let them think they've won. Let them grow comfortable. And while they do, we watch. We learn. We prepare. And when we're ready?" Queen Eunji smiled. "When we're ready, humanity will join the Empire. Not through conquest, but through choice. We'll make them see that cooperation with us is the only way to survive in a galaxy full of threats. They'll beg to become our subjects. And if they refuse?" The Queen's smile faded. "Then we show them what happens to species who refuse the Empire's generosity." She walked to her window and looked up at the night sky. Somewhere out there was Earth, celebrating its small victory. They didn't know that the real game was just beginning. The age of human expansion had begun. But so had the age of human testing. And the Valerian Empire would be watching every step of the way.